All right, now we're going to bring in Jared. Go ahead and unmute there. Is it pronounced Mach? Mauch?
Mauch, Jared Mauch.
So what you're going to be talking about today is the Detroit Internet Exchange, and now your role on there. And are you a board member, or what's your affiliation with the Detroit Internet Exchange?
Yeah, so I'm on the board of the Detroit Internet Exchange. We're very excited. We recently received our not for profit status, 501c, not for profit status, so we can go ahead and continue to operate. Detroit Internet Exchange is the largest interconnection point in Michigan for basically bringing traffic together between all of the different companies, the IT companies, ISPs, and such. And I'm also a direct member of it because I own and operate a fiber to the home ISP out in Washtenaw County here in Michigan.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in Ann Arbor myself, so a fellow Washtenaw County person. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the origins of this. How long has the Detroit Internet Exchange been around, and how did it get started?
Yeah, so I mean, the Detroit Internet Exchange was originally started out of 123net, but 123net is really is brought on some of us to help bring it. I think you know to be more independent from the organization. So hence moving into a separate legal entity. Like I said, we're excited about the not-for-profit status, and it's a great place for everyone to go and basically interconnect with all of this traffic. We've been around for a long time, continue to grow traffic. We're the largest fee-free based internet exchange point out there. So when you talk about a lot of these other places, a lot of them are run by commercial companies and stuff, and it's really nice to have some people who are in it just not only for the pure love of the tech of it, but for all of the business wins that you get out of it as well.
And so let's talk about what it does for business then. How can businesses get plugged into the Detroit Internet Exchange?
Yeah, so there's a number of facilities. So if you're an IT director or something, you may have stuff co-located with a number of different places, either down in the Rensen or like the Edge Connects facility in Southfield. If you're there, you can actually go and get a connection over to one of the network elements, the network switches that Detroit Internet Exchange operates. And once you get on there, you can peer on the route server with a bunch of different companies. We're excited to have people like Microsoft join us there. You can connect directly with Google. And so when you're going and you're taking your applications, you're putting them in the cloud, or you're bringing stuff in from your content delivery network partners like an Akamai or a Cloudflare. And those companies are also there. So it's basically a good way to, reduce your costs and actually get good performance to those networks as well.
Is there a charge for this? I'm assuming this isn't free, right?
So ports, like I said, we're the largest fee-free based thing, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but there's no charge for ports at the Detroit Internet Exchange right now. And you may have to pay some sort of fee to your co-location provider. They have cross connect fees to get to other cages and such, depending upon what facility you're in. But for example, if you're in the 123net facilities, there's no fees to connect into the Internet Exchange. But in my day job, I work for a commercial company, and we have our equipment located in the Edge Connects facility, and we connect in with 300 gig ports into the Detroit Internet Exchange.
Huh. Why is it important to have an internet service like this in the state of Michigan? What does it bring to the state?
So it brings us independence from some of the adjacent states. Just like having your own, natural gas generator or something to help you survive. Because I know a lot of people are still without power right now from all the storms. A lot of internet traffic goes in detours through some of the major interconnection points in, Washington D.C. or Boston. New York and Chicago. And by doing this, it allows us to interconnect and keep that traffic not only in state, which helps improve the performance, but it also helps reduce the cost because for the people who are interconnecting on there, it's really like taking, the local roads, or not having to, always fly through Chicago to go between, two locations. If you're driving from Ann Arbor to Lansing, you don't want to have to, go through Chicago to get to and from. And the way the internet traffic, routing works, a lot of times you end up taking these long haul flights or long distance hops through some other big city, and you really, nothing against Chicago. I've been there many times, but I like keeping stuff here in Michigan, and if people come and connect here, it helps keep Michigan traffic in Michigan.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought GM had a direct connection into the backbone somewhere around Warren, so we didn't have to go through Chicago. Am I wrong on that?
So I think there's a lot of interesting things about the mythology of how the interconnect is actually built. I mean, there's a lot of dense interconnection up in the Southfield area. Warren, obviously there's stuff there. There's a lot of lines buried in the ground all over. But really, you end up coming back in the U.S. There's really 9 big major interconnection points. And the nearest one to us here is in Chicago. And really, I think the Detroit Internet Exchange is trying to establish itself to be the large regional player. It actually brings in traffic from Ohio as well, from some of the ISP, from the internet companies down there, and brings that traffic up into Michigan because it's actually easier and cheaper for them than going all the way to Chicago. You go shorter distance on the lines, there's less likely to be a fault or a damage or something. You go a long distance, it's more likely that there's going to be a problem.
Now, the pandemic has impacted just about everything else these days. How has it impacted what's going on the internet?
I mean, I think many of us understand, with the pandemic and, what's gone on, there's been a lot of people are doing a lot more activities online. A number of companies came out and said, they saw their overall traffic jump 35% in 1 month at the beginning of the pandemic last year. And we've certainly seen that growth at the Detroit Internet Exchange as well. We've seen continued traffic increase there, especially as, the content delivery networks come online and more ISPs come online there, and going and bringing that traffic online and keeping that local is important. I mean, just the fact that we're doing this Zoom meeting, when I think, a couple of years ago, people wouldn't have been doing as many video meetings, wouldn't have been doing as many of these other types of, online things. Pretty much everybody is attending some sort of Zoom or Microsoft meeting or WebEx or Google Meet or Hangout or something. And when at the Detroit Internet Exchange, we have those companies there. We've got companies like Microsoft there. We've got companies like Google there. And so your traffic can go directly to those, companies, as opposed to going and, taking these long detours to Washington, D.C. or something like that.
Yeah. Well, certainly, we do a lot of stories. There's been a lot of research coming out about remote workers, and many of them, 40 to 50%, don't want to go back into maybe occasionally go into the office, but essentially have gotten used to the remote workforce thing. For me, I've been doing this for 20 years, so it's no big deal to me. But everybody else now seems to be joining us. So it's actually going to produce more stress on the internet, as it were, because more and more people will be using more and more bandwidth, right?
Yeah, I think, we have these duality of things that happen, as time goes on, a lot of the technology becomes cheaper. So some of the data communication becomes cheaper, but the way that people are using it has continued to evolve. I mean, 2 years ago, we weren't having as many people using the video, and the video is, the live video like this tends to go and use up a lot more bandwidth, for people, especially in the upload. I myself, I have 4 children. And so going and having them at home, while I was already working at home, certainly taxed my internet connections as well, which went and made, it makes it stressful for you and for the families. And, by being able to go and use these tools to go and push this traffic to keep it locally, really is, very incredible. I think in many ways, a lot of us have really struggled through these times, but I think it's it's exciting times because traffic keeps growing. People are going to keep using the network more.
Yeah, absolutely. When Matthew has returned from the hinterlands, speaking of
Sorry about that. I lost my internet connection. I had to go unplug and plug in my modem/router. So,
you should have been plugged into the Detroit Internet Exchange, right, Jared?
Oh, that's definitely one way that could have helped you.
Okay.
So we've been talking about it's nonprofit. It used to be 123 that started that, or it was based out of there. Now it's nonprofit, and things like because of the pandemic, how much more people are using the internet than we were previously, and they're using it for video, which of course is a bandwidth hog. So we got about 4 minutes left. You want to leap into this conversation?
I was just curious, what does the Internet Exchange allow us to do here in Detroit that we could not do before? What is the advantage of having a facility like this?
I mean, the advantage is you keep local traffic local. So and there's a bunch of technical benefits that fall out of that. You get lower latency, so you're not always going through Chicago or DC. You end up with, it's you get 100 gig port, to the Internet Exchange, and that's a lot of bandwidth to go and for your business to be able to go and offload. And there's just many things, and so you can actually go on the website at DET-iX.com. And go and see like the traffic graphs, and you can see how much the traffic has continued to increase, through all of this. And that is all traffic that's now no longer going through Chicago, going through Ashburn, going to some of these other facilities, and staying in the state of Michigan.
All right. So basically, the internet is a collection of various company pipes, right? That are all linked together. So but it still has to go someplace, and it can go a long ways if you don't have something like this, right?
Yeah. You can end up going a long ways around the world to get to some of your to some of the other endpoints. And so this, I think, is this is a great case for we're keeping we're doing all of this work here in Michigan. We don't have to be so dependent upon some of these other areas. I think a lot of people in Michigan would agree with that. We're very independent-minded people here. Really been out there trying to do to really do some great things. And yeah, it's this is like a very exciting time, especially in tech and internet. I think I think the pandemic is really. The pandemic and all of these other activities have really highlighted the values of, value of this communication technology.
One last quick question. I know there are places in urban areas. There are also places in rural areas where there are very limited broadband options. What can we do to improve that?
Oh, you should have me on for a whole hour to talk about that. I mean, what I've done in the past 18 months myself is I've actually built a fiber to the home network out in Washtenaw County to actually build fiber to my own house as well as to my neighbors. And so you actually have the state who's actually out just actually did a grant cycle with the CMIC funding, the Connecting Michigan Communities funding stuff that they gave out, as well as Washtenaw County is in the process of RFP process to go and expand broadband out in a number of the areas that have been unserved or underserved. And and we're continuing to see interest in the federal level as well, and that potentially being funded through infrastructure stimulus stuff. So if there's people out there who are interested in that, I mean, that's a whole nother long conversation to be had about what we can do to connect the communities. I was just out at the Lima Township Hall this morning, actually talking with folks there about what actually can be done to go and improve the connectivity in their community. So I think there's a lot of stuff that can be done.
All right, and it's a very good segue for our next guest, who we'll bring in shortly, Phil Saunter from Ann Arbor Spark, who's going to talk about that $2.4 million grant they just received to expand broadband service. But before we let you go, Jared, tell us, or at least tell the business audience, I can do this. I'm one of those days where I'm a little tongue-tied. Where they can go find out more information about Detroit Internet Exchange.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go online, go to DetroitIX.com, and you can go and find out information about, who the members are there, what the existing businesses are, see the traffic statistics, and reach out to us and, see what we can do to kind of help maybe save you some money and keep this Michigan traffic in Michigan, as opposed to going out, going long distance out into some of the other states, and get you a good high performance connection.
All right, Jared Mauch from the Detroit Internet Exchange. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.